So let's pray. All right. Lord, I want to thank you once again for the beautiful day. Thank you that it's Mother's Day today, Lord. Thank you that we can celebrate our mothers, Lord, and how many wonderful things they've done for us. I pray that you touch each one of these prayer requests, Lord. Touch each one of them, Lord, the losses and the families and the family members that need you, Lord, and guidance, Lord, there. Especially the things going on at school these days, Lord. You've been taken out of school, Lord, and each one of these kids are battling with tests coming up, Lord, end of grade tests. And just help them and give them the strength to study and pass these tests so they can continue learning and knowledge, Lord. Pray that you would guide me in this lesson I've worked up today, Lord. Just help me to say what you'd have me to say, Lord. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen. All right. We'll skip that one. All right. So Mother's Day. Dina, you can go ahead and pass them out now if you want to. You did what?
What?
Podium.
Oh. Take one, pass it back. Take one envelope, pass it back. Take one of these, pass it. Take one of these, pass it. Does everybody have pens? If you don't have a pen, pass it. Don't do nothing on them yet. Don't do nothing on them yet. All right. So, I looked up. I was curious. And I'm going to try to get through this in less than 30 minutes. I don't think it'll take that long. All right. So, I was curious a little bit about where Mother's Day come from. Who initiated it? What happened? So a lady named Anne Marie Jarvis. She was born in 1864. She passed away in 1948. So she was the founder of Mother's Day in the United States. And I thought that was interesting. She thought that mothers were important enough they needed to have their own day to celebrate them. And I think that's a great idea. So she petitioned Congress to make that a national holiday or make a day of memorial for Mother's Day. And just a funny joke, in 1908, U.S. Congress rejected the proposal to make Mother's Day an official holiday, joking that they would also have to proclaim a Mother-in-Law's Day. Okay, y'all didn't get it. All right, so anyway. But in 1911, the United States in 1911, all the U.S. states observed the holiday. And then in 1914, Woodrow Wilson, one of our presidents in the past, did proclaim and sign that Mother's Day to be held on the second Sunday in May every year to honor mothers. So, and that was kind of how the history of Mother's Day got started in the United States. One of the other things this one lady did, so those cards you've got, if you look on the back of them, you'll see it says Home Mart. So after Mother's Day was proclaimed a national holiday or national day, so the card companies came in. Home Mart did, and it's hilarious that that's on there. That wasn't planned. So Home Mart was one of them. They started making Mother's Day cards and celebrating them. And Miss Ann Jarvis was mad about that because they were profiting off of something she wanted to do to honor mothers. So, and this is one of her sayings, a printed card means nothing except that you are too lazy to write the woman who has done more for you than anyone in the world. And then she also said, and Candy, take a box to your mother and eat most of it yourself. So, but the other thing she said, and that's what we're going to do with these cards today, is she believed that we needed to write a hand letter of appreciation to our mothers. That we needed to write it from our heart and not purchase a card. I know a lot of us did it, and I used to do it to my mama. I used to purchase a card and give it to my mom, and I was guilty of that. And we've all done it. But when I was reading up on this, I thought, well, that would be just, that would be a great thing to do. And we're going to look at some Bible of what mothers do for us in a minute. And as I'm going through these things, I want you to think about some things that your mother does for you that you may not even think about sometimes. Because we are guilty of taking our mothers for granted. And we forget about all those little things that they do for us. And just to make sure we understand this, when I say mothers, I know some of you, your grandmothers raised you. Some of you may have a stepmother. I don't know every situation in here, but when I say mothers in general, that is the woman that takes care of you, the woman that helps you. So, all right. So why Mother's Day? Genesis 2:23 through 24, it says, and sorry, I thought I had all the. I done this in a hurry this morning because I was running way behind. So why Mother's Day? Let's forget about this for a second. Exodus 20, verse 12. Honor, and this is one of the 10 commandments. It's important to remember this is one of the commandments. It says, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. That was Exodus 20:12. Exodus 20:12. Everybody there? So we are, the Bible, one of the commandments is the Bible says we ought to honor our fathers and our mothers. And today is the day we honor our mothers. God give us a mother. John said it out there, none of us would be here without a mother. That is impossible, physically impossible. And then Ephesians in chapter 6, verse 2 and 3, it says this again. We see it in the Old Testament. Sometimes people will say, well, that was Old Testament. Well, let's look in the New Testament. In Ephesians chapter 6, verse 2 and 3, it says, honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest live long on this earth. Boys, the humming and singing stops. I've got y'all set up so I can figure out who it is this time. All right. No pointing fingers. Pay attention. Or anything. All right. So we're talking about mothers. So who was the first mother? Anybody? Oh. Who was the first mother? Eve, right. Oh, yeah. Genesis 2:23. Genesis chapter 2, 23 and 24. And it said, and Adam said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my... So Eve was the first wife. And right here it said in Genesis 2:23, and Adam said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore a man shall leave his father. So he was first a wife. So therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And then in verse, she was not only the first mother, she was the mother of all living things. Get these in the right order. I put these together quick. So in Genesis 3:20, it says, and Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living things. So Eve was first a wife and then a mother. That is a biblical principle the older group needs to grasp. First a wife, then a mother. So we're going to get into the traits of a mother. Things that mother, why do we honor mothers? So the first thing I wrote here, moms know what is best for you. And I wrote down Hannah in the Bible. And I'm not going to talk a lot about each one of these ladies in the Bible. Does anybody know who Hannah was?
The person who
Yep. Very good. Huh? Same thing? So moms know what's best for us. When she had prayed to God, she wanted a child, and she had prayed beforehand that if the Lord would give her a child, that she would give this child back to God. So Hannah was Samuel's mom. Samuel was a judge of Israel. So much like when y'all were born, your moms wanted the best for you. Each and every one of you. Whether you knew it or not, your moms wanted the best for you. You have a choice through life to make your own choices, but know that your mom always wants the best for you. So the other thing is, as I wrote here, moms want to protect us. Moms want to protect us. Anybody want? I put it right here. Jochebed. She hid. There was a decree that all the young Hebrew boys were to be killed by the king. So she hid Moses. She wanted the best for Moses, but she wanted to protect him. So she hid Moses for 3 months. And we talked about the Hebrew midwives a couple of weeks back. But the Hebrew midwives finally found her, and they actually raised her. But so moms want to protect us. If some of you have been in situations, for instance, if you're at the store and somebody threatens you, what is mom going to do? Threaten back. Mama bear is going to take over, right? You know, we'll talk about a bear. So a bear, if you threaten a bear's cubs, mama bear is going to tear you up. She's going to be the most defensive. The worst I've ever gotten bitten by a dog is when I was messing with her puppies. Mama dog tore my pants legs off. Dina laughed at me and said it was my own fault.
I think you learned a life lesson there.
I did. Don't mess with the mama dog's puppies when she don't want you messing with them. But if somebody is threatening y'all, somebody is threatening harm to you, mama will step in.
Wait, what?
So moms want to protect us. So while I'm writing these things down, y'all think about things your mama does. You can write them down too at the same time.
Keep in mind it doesn't necessarily have to be the mother. It can be your grandmother.
Well, your grandmother or whoever takes care of you.
I had that happen when I was
So the Hebrew midwives is a good example. Sometimes maybe you're not being raised by your biological mom. Maybe somebody has stepped into that role. The Hebrew midwife stepped into that role and helped raise Moses. I thought that's a good example. Sometimes that happens. There's nothing wrong with that. Dina is a mother to my 2 kids. They're not biologically hers, but she takes care of them. She takes care of my grandkids. So, but that's an example. All right. Moms worry about us. Here's another trait. Moms worry about us. I used Mary as an example here. Last year when we was up at the cabin, we talked about 12-year-old Jesus at the temple. But there's another part of this that I thought of. So in Luke chapter 2, verse 48, and what's happened here is Mary and Joseph have left, and they're traveled about a day's journey away. And what happened? Jesus stayed back, and he's in the temple. Well, they didn't know Jesus stayed back, and they're worried. Huh?
I think at that time it wasn't just the parents.
They were traveling with a large group of people. So,
Servants traveled with them and all that.
yeah, they were traveling with a large group of people. They were under the assumption, and I've done this with my kids when I've been we were going somewhere, and I might have had my parents with me, and my brothers were there. I assumed my kids might be, we assumed that my kids were with one of my other brothers, and surprisingly not, they wasn't. And that's kind of what happened. They assumed that Jesus was one of the other kinfolk or something. So in Luke 2:48 it says, and when they saw, so they run all the way back to the temple now. And they walked back, and it said, when they saw him, they were amazed. And his mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou dealt with us? Behold, thy father and I have sought thee sorrowing. So even though it was Jesus, Mary was still in sorrow that she had lost him, or she thought maybe she had lost him. She had forgot him and was worried. So mothers will worry about us even when maybe there's nothing to worry about. They're good at that, but that's their job, and that's how much they love you. They're going to worry about you. And the second thing here, I don't know if this is the best example, but moms will stand with us when we're at our worst. And I used Mary again here, because guess where we found Mary? We found Mary at the foot of the cross when Jesus was being crucified. Mothers will sit with us when we're at our worst. Doesn't matter. Say, if those occasions when we're on our deathbed before mothers, they will sit with us. I've heard stories of that. If we're going through something dramatic, moms will sit with us. I don't really want to put any personal examples on this one, but I just want you to know that I don't think any one of you has ever been in a dire situation where like Jesus, or maybe some of the things I've been through in my life when my mom was there for me. I'm not going to tell stories on them, but I don't think none of y'all have been in that situation. Huh? I hope not. So I'm not going to give you that. This is something personal for me. Moms are with us when we're at the worst. This is something personal to me, but in John 19:26 it says, And Jesus therefore saw his mother and the disciples standing by whom he loved, and he said unto his mother, Woman, behold thy son. All right? So the next one I wrote down here, moms comfort us. There we go. How many has ever been bullied at school and went home and said, Mom, and Mom comforted you? I kind of seen this picture and I thought this little boy maybe he got bullied at school and he's at home. Maybe a teacher was mean to him at school and he come home and Mom comforted him. Maybe a little girl broke his heart and he come home and Mom comforted him. Or maybe a little boy broke the little girl's heart and Mama comforted him. That's never happened to none of y'all. Maybe that's Noah and his sister was picking on him and Mom's comforting him. That has probably happened. You don't think so? Well, maybe it's Maddie and you were picking on Maddie and she's comforting Maddie. That's probably happened too. But moms will comfort us. They will stop what they're doing and comfort us. We seen Dina out there a while ago, the little girl. She was, I don't know what was wrong, but she was sad. And Dina picked her up and hugged her, and it was all okay. Dina comforted her. So the other thing I wrote here, moms feed us. Sometimes we take this for granted, how much it takes, how much trouble it is to feed y'all. But Mom feeds us. If she don't cook for every one of you, she buys groceries for you. So that's where we're at in Proverbs. So in Proverbs 31, we'll just jump through a couple of verses. So moms feed us. In 31, in verse 15, it says, She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. You know, I know there was times when I was a kid, my mama would get up early and fix breakfast. Even though it was just a bowl of cereal, she would make sure I got ready for school. Make sure I had clothes on, make sure they were on the right order, make sure they wasn't inside out. Dina still does that for me today. If it had not been for her, I would not have had a matching tie today. My shirt would have been unbuttoned. My collars were unbuttoned when I got to church. She missed that one. But moms feed us. They want to make sure we eat good. One of the, y'all may not. When you're sick, what does mom ask you? Have you eaten anything? What did you eat? Have you eaten anything?
Are you feeling better?
Eat something. My mom used to do that. What did you eat? Did you eat something I didn't tell you to eat? All right. So the other thing I wrote here, moms are strong. Superpowers. I'm a mommy. That's my superpower. Moms are strong. I'm not a mommy. So Proverbs in 31:17, and it says, she girdeth her loins with strength and strengthen her arms. Moms have superpowers. Y'all may not realize this, but the things you try to hide from your mom, she knows. She already knows. She knows the things you're doing and you're trying to hide from her. I wish I could remember that card. I think it said, that card I give my mama, it said, Mama, it said, what is it? If it makes you feel any better, you only know about half the things I actually did. Can't remember exactly how that was.
Comparing notes and you realize she knew more than she did.
Yeah, Mama knew more than she did. But moms are strong. And then I wrote, Mom dresses us. So this was part of the other. Proverbs 31:19. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. Now here in Proverbs, does anybody understand that? The spindle and the distaff?
For a sewing machine, I think.
Well, it's sort of a sewing machine, but in the olden days,
Tiny sewing machine.
they didn't go to Walmart and buy a yard of fabric. They had to make the yard of fabric by hand and weave it. So there's a spindle thingy that actually made the yarn from the sheep fur that actually made the yarn. Then they put it in another machine and actually wove the sheets of fabric that they would then make clothing out of. So moms, in the olden days, moms really had it rough. Now they just go to Walmart. Most of y'all, mom probably buys your clothes pre-made. I'm not sure that anybody, does your mom actually make clothing? That's very rare. Very rare. Very rare to hear of, but nothing wrong with it. My great-great-grandmother was 103 when she passed away. And if you look, they had when she turned 100 years old, they had a birthday party for her, and they had pictures of her life all the way back from she was 20. She only had one dress pattern. And she used that, she wore that same dress from the time the pictures went back till she was 20 years old till she was 100. It was just a different pattern, a different fabric, but it was the exact same pattern. That she only used one pattern and it was a straight dress. But anyway, my grandma Flint, she would make her own clothing a lot of times. Where'd it get to? Dresses. Moms have compassion. And we talked about that. Sometimes we're upset. And in Proverbs 31 and verse 20, it said, she stretched out her hand to the poor, yea, she reached out her hand to the needy. And Gail was talking about, her mother out there. Her mother would writing checks to people that needed help and would help people like that. I know growing up watching my mama would help people sometimes. I probably don't know about all the people that she helped, but my mama would help people and not expect nothing in return. The other thing I wrote down, moms teach. Whether it be life's lessons, how to comb your hair, how to brush your teeth, how to take a bath and make sure we're clean. I know y'all's mom teaches y'all everything because she's your teacher and you're homeschool. You go to public school or you're homeschool? You go to public school? But your mom still teaches you things, how to fix your hair. Proverbs 31:20, it says wrong verse. 31:26. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is law of kindness. So moms teach us. The other thing I wrote here, moms look after us when we're sick. If we get sick, who's the first person that's going to take care of you? Mom. Daddy going to do that? Probably not. So in Proverbs 31:27, she looketh well on the ways of the house of her household, and eateth not the bread of illness. She don't care how sick you are, mama's going to take care of you. She's going to clean up your throw up. She's going to wipe your bottom. Doesn't matter how old you are. But moms will take care of us when we're sick. And every one of you know this for a fact. So we need to celebrate our moms. So in Proverbs 31, there at the end, verse 28, on the rest of the way, it says, her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. So if you're a daughter and your mom has taught you proper ways to be, your mom, it says, and it excellest them all. Your mom is better than that because she's taught you. It says here, favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. So that's why I wanted y'all, I read that, talked about the Anne Marie that wanted to handwrite these cards. That's why I wanted to give them to you. I want you, when you're finished with them, seal them up. That's not for anybody else in this room to see. That's for your mamas, your grandmothers to see. Huh? Then you can read it to her.
Fill them out, give them to the person, the female that takes care of
The female. But when you're done with them, seal them up, give them to her, tell her you love her, tell her you appreciate everything that she does for you,
I'm not done either.
and that you understand how much of a pain you are to them. Some of you know it, some of you don't. Like, you know you're a pain to your mama sometimes. Y'all learned it from your daddy. But tell your mamas how much you appreciate them today. Show them how much you appreciate them. Clean the kitchen for them. Do something silly for them. Mop the floor. Surprise them. Clean your room. It's okay.